the Eternals spoiler talk. So, Will, how you been?
Doing
How
all
you
right.
been, buddy?
Yeah. Uh,
Well, yeah. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Go.
So I know you got a chance to see it
Yes.
last week.
Yeah, last weekend. When you saw this movie? This Friday?
No, because we didn't record this last Sunday morning, I got to go then.
Okay. Okay. I see. I see. I so this is the third MCU film we have this year. You know, we saw Black Widow and Shang-Chi,
Yeah,
and I think so far you and I like Shang-Chi the most.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. After this recording, I'm gonna see again in Disney Plus.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
it's out now.
yeah, yeah. I can see Morris again. And I was kind of curious about your opinion. Were you excited for the Eternals when they announced this project? Was it your most anticipated film of 2021? Like, what was your
uh,
like overall feeling for this film coming?
uh, Indifference.
Okay, and different.
Like I didn't really know anything about the Eternals other than they were like Jack Kirby's passion project in the was it the 70s or the 80s? I don't remember. I think the
It
70s.
in the
But
70s
like
because it's before
I
it's after
yeah,
the New Gods.
yeah, right. Um I don't know, like I was never that interested in Jack Kirby's like obsession with like space mythology stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I never really like did it for me. Um and then it was like characters I'd never heard of. Um, so yeah, no, I wasn't really like too excited for it. And then they announced the cast, and it had an incredible cast with a bunch of people that I really like. So that made me a
Yes.
little more excited for it. And Chloe Zhao as the director was an interesting choice that I thought could be different from like other Marvel movies. And it was
Yes. It
like
really
whether
was.
it's a good or bad thing is, debatable, but it was different.
Um,
Um,
it's
yeah, I don't know. Were you looking forward to it?
Um, I was looking for this because I really like Chloe Zhao. I
Hmm.
seen her film The Writer,
Okay.
and by the way, great film. And I think she's the most like interesting upcoming female directors. I think
Hmm.
she has a voice, and I think this film is like the most director vision film since Iron Man 3 for me. Like
Okay. I
it's
would argue Guardians.
Oh, okay.
But
When I mean director vision, like the voice of a director, like her like
yeah,
trade-offs, I like
yeah,
in I'm Between, like it's completely a Shane Black film. I
right. Yeah, I think the Guardians movies are very much James Gunn, but
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Um, I guess for me, like what separates it is like you have Gunn's vision, but also you still have the formula, but like it meshes together. Like
yeah.
I um yeah, I agree. Or we agree and disagree. I I think because this film is completely like Chloe Zhao, like it's I guess the other word like it's better for this film is the most distant was it this is
Distinctive
construction yeah
or yeah.
film since Man of Steel. Um, and
Okay.
yeah, because like it goes for so many things that Marvel hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
Mm,
I did I really appreciated that it didn't stick to the typical like formula.
yes, that's the thing
Um,
that I liked about it. Yeah, um, yeah,
yeah.
I, yeah, I, yeah, this film is it's kind of tough to talk about because first off, this movie is very I guess I want to get into like, do you have a problem with the pacing of the film? Because
Yes.
okay, so let me disagree this. I think the pacing of this film was fine.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think it was as bad as a lot of critics were saying it was,
yeah,
but
that
I
was
do think it was a little like a little messy.
yeah,
Um,
it was a little messy. I just wish they focused on one thing and then not jump around in
yeah,
time
I
periods.
when I finished watching the movie, one of my first reactions was like, this should have been two movies so you could flesh out everyone more, and you could have the first one be like them throughout history, and then the second one being them like
Present day.
in the present day coming back together and like learning the truth about their mission.
That's true.
Or it should have been like a Disney Plus series or something. Like
Yeah,
it needed more time.
yeah. Um, yeah. I completely agree.
Which is yeah, it feels weird to say that a movie that was almost 3 hours long needed more time, but like it did.
yeah. All of it was so good. Like my favorite like flashback or time period was the 400 AD where the internals cannot interfere with the war that was going on. And then I was
Mhm.
Thea, the internal that is played by Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
And that's where the scene where we discover she has this disease that she's kind of like was glitching. That was
Hmm.
like my favorite part of the movie. Was
Yeah.
there?
I I loved all the flashbacks.
Yeah.
I
Um,
really liked a lot of this movie, and then there are other parts that like really dragged it down.
Drag it out. Yeah. Yeah. This film, I will personally say I don't think is as good as Shang-Chi, but
No,
I
no
think
way.
no, it's I feel like Shang-Chi was like top to bottom, like a four quadrant, like crowd pleasing film that just
Hmm.
was incredible with the story and characters.
Yeah.
This film has it. It goes all over the place and it doesn't have a focus. I feel like. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like, and then the thing about it is like it. I don't know. Like I don't know if you have this thing, but for me, I don't feel like it's like a superhero film. Like it feels it feels more like a sci-fi film than a superhero film. I feel
Mm.
like um
I could see that, I guess.
yeah, well because like even the ending doesn't like it's not like a typical Marvel thing. It's like
Yeah,
it,
there's no like big, well, there's,
I mean, yes, we got the Eternal coming out from the Earth, but like it's not like the thing that like they're fighting. Like they're fighting Icarus, and then
right,
the other didn't
the Deviant
he has a name,
Crow. Crow.
Crow. Like really?
Oh man.
Oh my god, yes, so much stuff we can talk about. I guess let's go from here. Who is your favorite character in this movie? Like, who is your favorite character you like grasp onto?
Yeah, I really liked Icarus, and then I hated that he died at the end.
Oh yeah.
Like, man, I thought he was really interesting. I loved the twist when he turned on them. I
Mm,
thought it was like a really interesting dynamic to have him like still believe in the Celestials' mission. But then when he changes his mind, like that's a perfect setup for like a really thoughtful like redemption arc in later movies.
yeah.
And instead, nope, flies into the sun, which is so extra.
Yeah. I I completely agree with you with that. Um, I mean, I'm curious if the Eternal, the red Eternal will like bring or like he will
Version.
like yeah will bring him back or like bring a
Yeah,
version.
I really hope so because I also just really like um, Richard Madden, and I want to see him in more things.
Yes, and I mentioned this to my friends, and especially the YouTuber Miss Flamingo,
Mhm.
that I thought he was like a perfect actor to play a new Superman. Um,
Yes,
and and
absolutely.
yeah, and I feel like Richard Madden,
Madden.
Richard Madden, um, like that was where I heard that Chloe Zhao was inspired by Man of Steel, and like you can
Right.
see that clearly, and like
Yeah.
I think she did a really good job. And I think he was like the most impressive actor I've seen in with the cast here.
Mm,
Um, okay. My favorite actor or
mhm.
character was Makari, the mute space.
Okay.
She
Yeah,
was my favorite.
she was cool.
Yeah, she was very cool. Like she comes late in the film, but
Hmm.
she like completely had present, and like she was like her powers was like already like visually interesting to see in the big screen, and like this is one of my favorite speedsters in the screen since The Incredibles with Dash. And
Hmm. Yeah, I loved the visuals that Chloe Zhao had for Makari.
yes, um and I love her fight with Icarus, and I think
Mm,
it was one of the best like superhero fight I've seen in a while.
yeah.
And I think this film for me was the best depiction of any superhero powers. Like I like the way Kingo's powers were visually
Yeah.
displayed. I like that. I love Gilgamesh's powers. He had like a very interesting power he was using, and like
Hmm.
Thea and her like creating weapons was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty
I,
impressive. But
yeah, visually, I really like the movie.
yes, I
Um,
like one of the best like visual films since Black Panther for me. I will say
okay.
because I don't want to include the DC films because I mean I mean Shang-Chi had really cool visuals.
Yeah, um,
Yeah, I guess the one that was like the most impressive and like it didn't follow the Marvel formula was Black Panther.
yeah. I mean, I really like Afrofuturism. So just
Oh,
anything in Wakanda,
kind of, yeah. Well, that's true.
absolutely. I'm on board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boy, yeah. I agree, and that was like photographed by Ryan Coogler's regular,
Hmm.
Rachel Bronson, who she's like the first female cinematographer to be nominated for Academy Award for
Oh, that's cool.
cinematographers. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why I love Black Panther. And for Shang-Chi, the reason I like why I mentioned that because that is photographed by William Pohl or Bill Pohl, he was used to call. He was the one that photographed the
Mhm.
Matrix trilogy. He did Spider-Man 2 and 3 with Sam Raimi. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and he does the Edgar Wright films.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I
Oh,
love.
nice. Okay.
Yes,
Cool.
yeah. And this film is is photographed by Ben Davis, who's a regular from Marvel Studios. He did
Oh,
Guardians, he did Age of Ultron, he did Captain Marvel, and this is his fifth, right, for MCU
okay.
film. And I think he's been the best one for this franchise because
Mm,
he really brought like a very distinct look for those films, and this is his, I would say, second best after Guardians,
yeah.
the first Guardians, because he doesn't do the second film. That's
Okay.
yeah. So I agree. Especially in the Eternal ship, I felt like that was like the most impressive like visual. The Eternal ship,
Mhm.
I really dug that. Um, so, yeah.
I liked the way Babylon looked.
Oh yes, yeah. I love the blues. The blues look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then um,
Um,
yeah. So, yeah. There's a lot to
yeah.
to
There's a lot to talk about.
yeah. I guess I so I have a question. you mentioned the twist with Icarus.
Yeah.
Did you say you were did you expect that?
Yeah, I did not. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, I saw it coming." I think I was blind to it because I like Richard Madden so much. I was like, clearly he's the good guy. Um, but yeah,
Wow.
I didn't
Because
see it coming.
okay, I didn't see that coming, but my friend Miss Flamenco saw it, and like she told me that,
Mhm.
like, oh, hey, she saw that miles away. I was like, okay. Um I I guess because we kill off who was it, Ajak, so early.
Mhm.
And I will say I was very disappointed that they didn't properly use Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too, because I love her.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like she's funny. Like I don't know if you've seen the Hitman films. Like she's like the
No, I
best thing.
haven't, but
Okay, you need
yeah.
to see the first film, but especially the second film. She's so funny.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. um, especially there's like a running gag about adoption. Like she wants to adopt a child, and like
Mhm.
it's like the best comedy gag ever. You had to see in the second film. It's great. It's with Ryan Reynolds and some
Yeah.
um, conveniently with more actors. Yeah, I was shocked that we kill off Ajak. We don't use her. I thought she was a very fascinating character to like
Mhm.
have, but then like
Yes.
they kill her off. But you know, and if you see the character die off screen, it's like okay, we're going back to that, and you know stuff like that. Yeah, uh, yeah, I felt like that was a misstep from this movie to kill off
Mm.
Ajak, but then it did raise the stake higher and like believable. Like we did kill off a couple of characters, like Gilgamesh. I we kill off him, and I was very sad that we kill off Gilgamesh, and,
Mhm.
because I think he was my second favorite character. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I really liked his relationship with Athena.
yeah, uh, amazing chemistry between those two, and like
Mhm.
um, I love his joke about what the Kinko's assistant, and like he brought up Afrin, uh,
Mhm.
like he referenced Batman and he referenced Afrin.
Yeah.
That was funny, and I love his when he got the news of Ajak die. I love how he unfortunately drops the pie to the floor.
Yeah.
Oh my god, funny scene, but like it was so like performed well by the
Mhm.
actor that play him. Oh my god.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and speaking of relationship, yeah, that is my second favorite. Gilgamesh and Thea. But Makar and Droog were like my number one favorite like relationship in the film. Like it was so palpable and like I wanted more those two in the screen. Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get more of them in the future.
yeah, that's true. I thought they had chemistry, and I just I love the moment when he was like Nani to her when was it Vastos was explaining about the bands and the U mine
Mhm.
and like there, she and then she smiles when he does the Nani to his head and you're like oh look at this and his fancy toys and, oh my god. I guess let's get into like who is your least favorite character in this film? I'm kind of curious.
Uh, I guess Crow,
Oh, who's that?
the
That's the
deviant.
Deviant. Oh, yes.
Like they did a really good job of like making me care about all of the Eternals,
Hmm.
um, which was surprising. Um, but then Crow, I really liked the idea of Crow, where he
Yes.
like would like absorb their powers. But then there was like he like claimed to have like Gilgamesh's memories or something, and then he fought Athena. Like it felt really unnecessary. Like there was already enough going on with like Icarus betraying them and
Yes.
Tiamat coming out of the earth. Like you didn't really need that. And then like the battle between Crow and Thena could have been really like intense and dramatic and like emotional for Thena, but then it just kind of like happened fairly quickly.
Yeah,
And like that threat that had been built up the entire film was just gone.
yeah, yeah, this is where I had my criticism. This is where it was like the most MCU, but it wasn't. Like I mean, first off, Crow, I like the Deviants. I think they were visually fascinating. And
Yeah, they were really cool looking.
yeah, and when we got the Crow, I was like, oh, okay, this is fascinating. Okay, the status quo of this one Deviant was different because now he had powers and like. I like the conversation, like the reveal that it was created by the Celestials. It was the Celestials.
Celestials, yeah.
Yeah, the and like it was supposed to be the proto internals where they were trying to keep the Earth safe so that the birth of the Titan Celestials could come out safely, right?
Right.
For the emergence, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is interesting. It was like a AI kind of like idea, but differently. Like it was like like they have a mind of itself and like that. Like that was interesting.
Yeah.
Especially with Crow. But then I feel like they shouldn't save it for a sequel. Like because you were talking about Thena and like there was way too much going on, and I agreed. Like Icarus was enough, but then I don't know if it was Feige or someone like we're worrying about like because Icarus like was eternal. Like we had that you brought up like on one of our previous discussions about how the villains were similar to the hero.
Yeah, it's a common thing where like the villain is just the dark version of the hero in a Marvel movie.
Do you think did they compromise that and say like, okay, let's have this different version? Like, I don't know.
No, I
don't know.
I don't know why they did it that way.
Yeah,
I think it would have been more interesting if they were like, hey, like now we both don't want this celestial to be born. Let's work together this time, and then we'll go back to fighting each other. But instead, it's just they're all fighting.
Yeah, and by the way, like, where were his other Deviants? Or did we kill them when they were at groups like Cult?
Yeah, I think they killed the others, and then it was just Crow left.
Okay, I was like, okay, because that was the thing. I was like, wait a minute, he has other Deviants. Like that's another thing. I'm like how many Deviants there are? Like, can they reproduce? Like, I had like these questions.
There's 5. There's that scene where like when Ajax dies.
Yes.
They show all of them, I think. So I think there's 5, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, yes, there's 4 separate with Crow. With Crow,
right? Yeah, Crow, and then he like transforms the other 4 into their
different. Forms. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's kind of funny. Well, and because in this movie, they explain why the Deviants came back because of Thanos snapping, right?
Right.
Or like the Avengers.
The Avengers snapping.
Yes, when the Avengers got the stones and they reversed the whole snap, of course they accelerate the emergence, and then they brought back not only that the Deviants, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, it's not a superhero film. Like, it feels like a huge epic sci-fi film. Like, it's like Avatar meets with 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like we have when you have conversation about the emergence and the Unimind, it's like we're going to the sci-fi route.
Yeah.
And, stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with you, crew. It's fascinating you didn't say anything about the Eternals. Like that was your least favorite character. I was kind of surprised you mentioned that deviant villain.
I like I said, I think they did a pretty good job of making me care for
Hmm.
each of them.
Okay.
I guess if I had to pick an Eternal, it'd be Druig.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. But like I thought he was interesting. Like I thought the conflict he had where he was like the first one to be like, are we the baddies? You know, was good, but I don't know. He
I don't know.
was kind of a jerk.
But that's the thing I like about him. He had an attitude I like.
Yeah.
He was right in every point that was going on in that film, and I like his relationship with
Yeah.
Makari.
I liked him and Makari.
Yeah. Um. I get what you're saying. I'm just making fun of you.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying with Drew. Let me get to my least favorite character. I guess my least favorite character is Bright.
Okay.
The Eternal that is like the child and she can
Yeah.
create illusions. I felt like she was very unnecessary for this film, and like her joining out with Icarus was very obvious, and like if you saw the Icarus twist coming, like you knew her character was going to like a dark path, and
Yeah.
and I there's things I think it was like a very artificial reason that I like the character, but like they didn't took their time with the character. Like it was just comparing her to be like the fairy for Peter Pan.
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell. How did I forget about her name? Tinkerbell. Right. That was his dream. Like how like Circe was like Wendy, and then like Icarus was Peter Pan. Like I like that conversation and like the grammatical connection to it about those characters and that. But like it wasn't enough to like get to that point, and like and her like backstabbing Circe was like, oh okay.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. No, I agree. Like I think I really liked thematically what they were going for with her, which is why
Yeah.
she wasn't my least favorite. But I agree that the execution was kind of weak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then her backstabbing Cersei, and then like 5 minutes later, Cersei's like, "Oh, want me to grant your deepest wish?"
Yes.
Like I get forgiving her, but it's just weird. Like tonally, like she just stabbed you. She just stabbed you.
Totally deaf. When we got to that, I was like, really? I was like, I mean, I don't know, like that completely, like I was just shocked that we did that, and like we just ignored the fact that she almost killed you. I can't believe it. Yeah, that was just I guess speaking of tone, I like the humor of this film.
Yeah.
I want to get into your like what you thought about the humor in this film, because I was surprised how much MCU humor it was in the film. It wasn't like Ant-Man or the Wasp, like or
right.
Like it was like in the middle of like Black Panther, Captain Marvel, like very like dry humor. And
yeah, I really liked that he used it sparingly. Like the humor primarily came out in like quieter moments between the characters. So it was like jokes between characters, or it was like character specific. Like they weren't all making quips. It was like Kingo is the funny one. He makes the jokes when they're fighting. Like it wasn't just like everyone turns into Spider-Man the second a fight starts, you know?
Yes, or making pop culture reference.
Right.
Or I mean the pop culture references were funny because it was like generally funny compared to Spider-Man.
But yeah. The humor worked for me.
Okay. I agree. Because I like the humor because I disagree with my friends because they thought, or Miss Flamenco mentioned, like some of the humor didn't hit for her, or like it did hit, and I thought it was generally consistent throughout.
Yeah, I will say none of the jokes that Fastos made me laugh. Like man, his character, like, I liked his character, but like his dialogue always felt like he was in a different Marvel movie.
Yeah, he
Like
was
it didn't match the seriousness of this movie. Um, and also didn't match his character. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Like all of the Eternals, other than Kingo, would talk with like a gravitas behind them, and then Phastos just talked like a person, which was fine, but like it didn't quite gel.
Yeah, it's weird because I think it's like when you have like a ensemble team or like a superior team, right? You have the typical characteristics of a character, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, Star Trek is like, okay, you have the level-headed, like select sparkling captain. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have, Spock. He's like the cold and like logical person in the ship, right? And then you got
Mm-hmm.
McCoy, the grounded, sarcastic doctor, like, and then or like in Star Wars, you have Luke being like the heroic homeboy, farm boy, um, have a have a destiny, and you got Leia being the princess warrior, like she can handle herself, right? And you got Han Solo, the very like you know loner and like stuff like that. And when you look at the characters of Eternals, like Phastos is like a scientist. He's like the smart guy in the team, and
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes when you have smart people, it's usually they're like the comedic ones, like recently, like Flash, like Cisco is like the comedic, like he's like the relatable nerdy character, right? And like he
Mm-hmm.
makes the quips, right? And and all the Marvel films, the MCU films, you have Tony being the sarcastic one, or like Spider-Man, like he's smart, but like he has his way of joking around, or like
Mm-hmm.
like that. And when you look at Fast Food, it's like he feels out of place because he's like the smart guy, but you usually expect the smart guy to be the funniest. But like we save all the comedic stuff, like for some characters, but like specifically Kingo, like he's
Mm-hmm.
like the comedic character we have, like he's the comedic person in the group.
Yeah.
And I don't know, yeah, I really my parents had that with that actor, with Brian T. Henry with Khan versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus
Okay.
Khan.
Yeah.
Like his humor was not like they didn't
Yeah.
like his humor there, like
I
I did.
agree.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree
weird
with
that
you,
you
bro.
yeah, it's weird that you mentioned that. I was like,
Yeah.
wow,
I
that's
think
I,
um
I
I don't know. He
well, let me say this. His humor over Godzilla versus Khan, I can understand from my parents because it was very stereotypical black humor. Like he was like a conspiracy, like I couldn't get it. Here, I don't know, like he's like a family man. Like it's weird, like we never get into more of his family, like
yeah.
more like I don't know, like there's a lot of things about Fast Food is interesting, but
Yeah.
like they don't take the time. I don't know,
Yeah.
like
They needed more time.
yeah,
Should have
more
been
time. That's the running gag of this podcast.
Yeah.
More time.
Oh
Um,
man. Because I really liked the scene with his family and like the discussion he had with his husband when he was like deciding whether or not to go.
yeah, I like that, and his kid, I thought he was like the most funny child we have
Yeah.
since the Cassie in the Ant-Man films. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love his bit when he meets Icarus and he's like, oh, he's the Superman, and like, flies with a cape. It's
Yeah.
funny,
I did like at the end, probably the only like fastest thing that landed for me was when Athena is in the kitchen with the kid.
Oh
She like
yes,
stabs the apple and he's like, your babysitting privileges are revoked.
revert.
I was like, yeah,
Yes,
that like that was the only one that like worked for me.
yeah. Um, yeah, I could believe that was so funny. And the way Angelina Jolie does it is so funny.
Hmm.
It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh man, she was so good as
Yeah,
Athena.
I was shocked about that. I was like, okay, it's, like I like Angelina Jolie as an actress, but
Yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, she's great. Like I
Yeah.
mean,
I was fully expecting her to phone it in because like
yeah.
she's Angelina Jolie. She doesn't need to do this, you know. Um,
I'm shocked
but
she's
yeah,
alive. Uh, like I, I'm shocked we're gonna continue with her in this franchise. But yeah. Um, but hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. I so, but yeah. Was well, what do you thought about Cersei as a character? Because
yeah. I think she was interesting. I think she was the right choice for them to like center the film around, just from like a storytelling perspective.
okay, okay,
Um, because she had the most empathy for
humans,
humanity. Yeah.
yeah, um,
Um,
fascinating. uh, and I agreed. It's Gemma Chan. She was in previously in Captain Marvel
right.
as one of the Kree soldier, Minerva, but that like she was like a major Captain Marvel villain that Marvel killed off or whatever. Um, yeah, so yeah, I really liked her character. I heard some people like it's like some didn't like get behind this character, and then her relationship with Icarus was industry. Like she had chemistry with her, but like I also wish we had more time with Cersei and Icarus relationship
Yep.
more in the film.
We wish we had more time.
Yeah, and I I just felt like, and then I was kind of surprised that. Well, I mean, they mentioned before the film came out with Dan Whiteman. Like, remember, like, let's not
Yeah.
forget we have another Game of Thrones actor here as well. Like Keith Harington, that's
Two
his name.
Starks. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the two Starks, and him being Dan Whiteman. Of course, he's going to be Black Knight
Yep.
later on. Um, yeah, I thought he was great. I actually liked him in the film. He was very funny. I love this joke. I like when he was gonna do the like because the girl Sprite and Cersei jumped did the very superhero like jumping over the walls.
Yeah.
He was gonna about to do it, but then he's like, nope, go to the
Yep.
stairs.
Yep. That was good.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was my. I love that so much, and yeah, and then what was the other joke I like for him? I like how he was asking the girls about like, do you want pizza? That was funny. And
Hmm.
or like I one thing I did like about Sprite, I like how Sprite talked like she told everything to Dan about who and Cersei was. That was a funny gag. I
Yeah.
love that. Oh my god. Um. Okay, so what else we need to discuss? What other characters we need? Oh, we mentioned Kingo, right?
Yeah.
I love Kingo.
Yeah. He was my second favorite character.
Yes, I he's my maybe fourth, but third or whatever. I
Mhm.
love his assistant. Like that
Yes.
whole thing works. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, we met the assistant. He was funny, but when he started filming and like the running gag is like how many cameras you have. Like he has like so much to just capture it. It's
Hmm.
just oh my god, so funny. Oh my god. Uh, I love how he said goodbye to Eternals. Like that was my favorite scene, and him praying, like doing the like funeral, like ritual when Gilgamesh died. I really love that scene, and I like how that assistant like did the pray, and I really like all that.
Hmm.
So I think Kingo and his assistant was like the best thing about the humor in the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, like Kingo and Droop's interaction when he said, "Oh, Kingo, the movie star," and and Kingo like replies like, "Oh, I directed something."
Hmm.
And and I love the one bit when he mentions streaming. Like everything now is on streaming now. Like
Hmm.
it was funny. It was funny how he mentions the streaming service in more of the film. That was fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I have a question for you. You say you did not like you don't care for Kirby's cosmic like
Yeah.
um were you bothered by them not going into the Kirby designs of the suits and then the Celestials and like you're fine with them going to a different direction with their
Yeah.
designs?
Yeah.
Okay.
It looked fine.
Okay. Well, I, because like in Guardians, we saw one of the Celestials like being the very comic book looking.
Hmm.
So, they are. I mean, if you look at the science, they're basically the same. It's just they don't look fattier in the comic books. If you read the Eternals or any cosmic book that they get involved with Jack Kirby, but okay, that's answering. Okay, let's get into the mid credit scenes and the post credit scenes. So, let me get to the post one because the mid credit scene is like what everyone's favorite. The post credit scene, people were confused.
Oh, I guess I recognized Mahershala's voice.
Okay.
Mahershala's voice. So I was excited. But
okay. Okay, that's funny. Well, for me, I had a conversation with my dad about Blade 2 because Blade 2 was on TV.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the Blade Wikipedia thing, and I know Mahershala Ali was going to be in Eternals. That's how I knew that.
Oh, you got it spoiled for you?
Yeah. Well, what I did, unlike Black Widow and maybe Black Widow, or unlike Shang-Chi, I actually spoiled myself with the stuff in the Eternals because I was curious because everyone was having mixed reviews. I was like, okay, like I did that with Venom too. So like I will just do it when I'm feeling excited for this one film, and I'm not gonna go and look at the spoiled thing. Yeah. I did that with Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and the Suicide Squad. But I saw that, and it was kind of funny. My friends I was with on Sunday, some people thought it was the Watcher, and yeah, it was because like he did sound similar to Jeffrey Wright in a moment, and my friends were like confused, like who was that? And then I had to explain that was Blade, and like why they didn't show Blade? Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they didn't want to show. They want to like hold that for Blade's own movie. But
yeah, well, I know that, but like.
They could have done like an over the shoulder thing where you just saw like the back of his head or something.
Yes. I feel like they couldn't have done that because it was like the most confusing credit scene that people saw. Like they didn't know, like the director had to like say no, that's Blade, and
Yeah, no, I saw it with a couple friends, and I like visibly reacted to the voice. I was like, oh, like cool, and then they had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A really weird thing to do for post-credit scene for Blade, and it was weird. It was also like a double entendre because like it was like it was the legendary Ibanon blade that Black Knight is going to use, and like you have like. Why? Like, why we're doing this for Blade? Like is he going to be a cosmic villain or a cosmic hero? Like,
no, they're on a team together in the comics. The Black Knight and Blade.
Oh, yeah. Really? Okay, that makes more sense now. Okay. Because I was a little weird why they I get they were setting up Black Knight, but I didn't get why they put Blade there. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Do you think he was going to be in the Blade movie then? Like, if we're going to...
Yeah, I think that would be the next place to see him.
Okay. I okay. That's that. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we covered that down, and let's get into the mid credit scene. This is where my good friend Miss Finnegan loved this. She said it was the best thing about this film over the actual film.
Oh, okay.
Um, well, because is a certain actor in this film that she likes.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry, not that one. The other one.
No. Yeah, Harry Styles.
Exactly. Harry Styles as Star Fox or Arrows.
Arrows.
Arrows. When that happened, when he popped out, everyone was like, well, she was screaming so loud. I was like, okay, okay. And I did say to her, he looked like the comic book character when we saw him. Like he had the costume, like it was
Yeah.
red and white. He had the hair right. I was like, wow, he looked straight out of the comic book. Um, this one was my favorite mid credit scene, I would say, because it set up something for the sequel or the potential future for the Eternals.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I was shocked for Patton Oswalt. Like, she recognized the voice. I didn't. I was like, "Was that Patton Oswalt?" And we saw the credits, the end credits, and we saw the actor name for this troll creature. Um, yeah, so I like the mid credit scene. I like that Thea, Makara, and Drew didn't get captured from the red Celestial.
Harrison, yeah.
Emerson, yes, and very curious with Christine. I was surprised they're gonna mention the Thanos part, him being
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, that's
like
confusing. I mean, like I know the history in the comics. I just was surprised that they were gonna bother doing that in the movies.
Yeah, I same here. It's because like we didn't touch that and when Thanos was a big thing, but
Right.
I mean, like Thanos does come back in the comics, like as a young person or the son, usually. Like I don't know if they're gonna do that or the latter I mentioned, the son of Thanos.
The son, yeah.
Yeah, but then that when you bring the son, you have to bring in the humans, right? Like
They could change it.
well, yeah, that's true. I mean, we're getting Anna Warlock in
Right.
Volume 3, and she's going to be a completely different version of that character. So yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, yeah, good Ben Chris scene. Very excited for that. Yeah, good film. Not as bad as I think many people. Were you surprised that this was going to get huge mixed reviews? Because I was surprised about that.
I was surprised when it happened, but not after I watched it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the film, I reacted to it very similarly to how I felt about Thor: The Dark World.
Okay.
But like it's an okay movie. But then I think Thor: The Dark World was okay, but it was fun. And then The Eternals was okay, but it was like well made. You know? Like
Yeah.
it was like better directed. It had like a more interesting plot. And I think if critics are going to a Marvel movie, they're going to expect it to be fun.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Like it's a superhero blockbuster. It should be. And I think that's like the differential between the like critics' reviews.
Yeah. I think for me, I think this feels more like Man of Steel, right? Like I feel like this is what Man of Steel should be instead of the other way around. Because for me, I felt like Man of Steel was trying to be this hopeful film, which wasn't. Like they were like contradicting what they were saying, what the film was really doing. Like
right.
And here, this is what Man of Steel was supposed to be doing. Like
Yeah.
this film is the most hopeful, very optimistic. Like it was very soulful.
Hmm.
But my problem with the film is like I like it's ambitious, but like it didn't have to focus like some of the more ambitious like Marvel films we have, like X-Men Days of Future Past or the Avengers films, or Black Panther, like that.
Hmm.
And so that's my problem, where they were just juggling too much plot points or characters in one film, despite the long running time they had. So, but it's best to be focused and just be more efficient when you're going to do,
Hmm.
because you have a platform for Disney Plus and the movies to explore this characters more and the universe, as MCU is doing it, which we're going to get. So I'm not going to be very harsh on this film and you know what they should have done, because they have a lot of room to explore these characters now. Now they
Hmm.
introduce them. So you
Yeah.
know,
I'd be interested in a sequel.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I do want Chloe Zhao to come back and
Yeah, me
do
too.
the sequel. One thing I would say, I have optimistic Marvel will improve these things. They did that with Thor, that worked well for them. So, and they're doing that with Ant Man 3, so they can do it. So I have no problem with that. So it's not like Disney when there's something wrong with the film, they do the reactionary thing of like doing the opposite, and that's where they get in trouble. Where
Hmm.
this is where the MCU has been successful, is that they listen to their fans. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. So, um, but yeah. Um, and is there anything else we have to say for the internals? Um,
I think I'm all right. I think I'm ready to wrap it up.
yeah, me too. Um, well, Will, next week is Hawkeye, right?
I think 2 weeks from now,
2 weeks from now.
right?
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Isn't it like the day before Thanksgiving,
Uh,
24th?
yes, it's gonna appear in November 24th. Yes, you're right. Okay,
Okay.
so we got one more week. And they did confirm that they're gonna release the first two episodes on that day.
Yep. Hmm.
So we're gonna have another podcast with two episodes, just like WandaVision. So that's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for that show.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love New York. I love Christmas. I love New York at Christmas. So to have
all of that in one.
a Marvel thing set in that setting is great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree. I'm excited for uh, Haley Steinfeld coming to the
Hmm.
MCU.
Yeah.
I think she's a great actress, and I love her previous work with The Age of 17 and Bumblebee. And I think I'm very excited for her to join this franchise. And yeah, and just get more proper development for Hawkeye. That's the big thing for me.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So I guess next Sunday, what do you want to do? You want to do another HMCU podcast, or you want to do a movie podcast? It's up to you.
We can do season 3 of Agents of Shield if you want.
Yes, let's do that. So we
Okay.
can be, because like I already finished season 3, so I want to talk more about that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's cool. All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Will, for coming. I'm so happy to talk to you again. Oh,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, it's been so long. Oh, oh my God. So, and you guys as well, the subscribers and the listeners of this podcast, thank you for being patient. Me and we'll be back for next Sunday for Agents of Shield season 3 podcast. So, no further ado, guys, enjoy the podcast and see you guys all